Next up, we have Paul George. He was given a 4-year, $212 million deal from the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, what I thought was going to happen is Paul George was going to return to the Clippers because I thought he wanted to stay in LA. Good friends with Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, even James Harden. But yes, he ended up going to the 76ers. He didn't use them as leverage because some team was going to give him a max. So if he used that as leverage and went back to the Clippers, that would have made sense. But no, it was smoke screens. He went back to the 76 or went to the 76ers and looking to give Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid a third guy to help them win a championship next year. Now, I don't love this at all. 4-year deal for a 34-year-old who was injury prone and didn't have a great, amazing season last year. I mean, 22 points per game is solid, but is that really maximum money? I mean, his defense is not the way or not the same way it was, a couple years ago. So, what does he really do on the floor for you when he's 37, 38 years old? Is he still going to be as good as a shot maker? I'm not sure. So, for that reason, I'm um, not liking this free agent sign too much, but something was going to do it, and it turned out it was going to be the 76ers. Their championship window now looking like it's about 4 years long. But maybe it's two, because like I said, we don't know how good PG will be at the end of that contract. Next up, Tyrese Maxey got a 5-year maximum extension. Makes sense. 100% deserved. I have no problems with this one. Jalen Smith got 3-year, $27 million from the Bulls. I thought this was an underpay. I think Jalen Smith can be this team's center, for the next couple of years. I expect him to move Nikola Vucevic, whether it's this year or this offseason or at the deadline. But nonetheless, Jalen Smith will come in right away, be a solid backup big, and I like this a lot for the Chicago Bulls. They got a great value. Isaiah Hartenstein got 3 years, $87 million deal from the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think this is front loaded, so the money's going to decrease annually every single time. So Thunder able to pay their guys like Shea, like J-Dub, like Chet, the rookie, or not even rookie for Shea. It would just be the maximum extension because this team needs to re-sign those guys like J-Dub, Chet, and Shea to look to contend for years to come. For the deal specifically, though, think it's fine. The Thunder did need big man who's able to rebound and not 100% clog up the paint. Now, can Isaiah Hartenstein shoot the three-pointer? Don't think so. Will he maybe do it this year? Who knows? We'll see. But for right now, he can't really shoot the three-pointer. I don't think he clogs up the paint. He has great touch around and outside the paint. So being able to rebound, not clog up the paint, let Shea do his thing. I like this a lot for the Thunder, and I like this for Isaiah Hartenstein as well, getting his bag. Next up, we have Tobias Harris signing a 2-year, $52 million deals with the Detroit Pistons. A lot of people are giving flowers to Tobias Harris's agent for getting him this deal because if you told me Tobias Harris is going to get $26 million annually at the end of this year's playoffs, I'd say you were insane, but he ended up getting it. But like I said, a lot of people hate this deal. Honestly, I don't hate it too much. I think it's a little bit too much money, but for the Pistons, you're not going to be signing any big free agents for the next 2 years. So you're looking to surround Cade, surround Asor Thompson, maybe even Ron Holland. We'll see what happens to Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren as well. Surrounding those guys with another shooter who's able to space the floor. And yeah, Cade needs more guys who can play basketball on his team. Here you go. Take Tobias Harris. So, like I said, though, I don't think it's a terrible deal. Um, the Pistons aren't going to be doing anything too crazy in the next 2 years, so might as well get a nice role player to help Cade Cunningham for right now. Drew Eubanks, 2 years, $10 million with the Utah Jazz. Just a solid backup big. But he was the reason that the Suns lost their second round pick last year. Luka Garza, in my opinion, one of the most underrated big men in the league, signing to the Minnesota Timberwolves, or re-signing, excuse me. It's a fine deal. DeLon Wright to the Bucks with money just above the minimum. Derek White getting a 4-year, $125.9 million extension from the Boston Celtics. That's a lot of money, but shout out Derek White for getting that money because a couple years ago, when he was with the Spurs, was he ever going to be in this position? You wouldn't think so. But now being one of the best wing defenders, guard defenders in the league, being a plus on the offensive side of the ball, hitting his open threes, being able to create for himself as well. Derek White revitalized his career with the Celtics, and I love to see it. I'm fine with this deal, by the way. Batum signed a 2-year deal, $9.6 million deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. Everyone expected this one to be. He made it known that he did not want to be in the 76ers last year. He even threatened retirement at one point, but now being a free agent, having a solid playoffs and more specifically playing tournament with the 76ers, and now making good money on the Clippers, you can't hate on this one. Clay went to the Dallas Mavericks on a 3-year, $50 million deal. This was crazy. Shout out for Woj for making these very low quality pictures or just edits. Like, I mean, you work for ESPN, like, gotta do something about that one. But yeah, he's going to the Mavericks. The end of an era for the Splash Brothers, but realistically, whether it was Draymond, whether it was Klay Thompson, someone was leaving. And Draymond said that he was going to go into the Grizzlies last year. Obviously, that didn't end up happening. But to think that at this point, possibly Clay and Draymond could have been off this team, and it was just Steph, that would have been crazy. Now, starting off, I want to say right away, this is a great signing for the Dallas Mavericks. They got someone that can complement Luka and Kyrie very well by sitting in the corner, hitting his open shots, and maybe even playing some defense. One problem with this team last year going into the playoffs was their spacing. Derrick Jones Jr. and PJ Washington were good for some series, but down the line, they couldn't get it done against the Boston Celtics. Klay Thompson, on the other hand, can help them a lot. Now, the report is that Clay was offered 4 years, $80 million from the Lakers, and he declined that. Instead, he took a 3 or $50 million for the Mavericks. His dad wanted him to go to the Lakers, but he took less money, less years, less guaranteed money, and decided to go to the Mavericks. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Obviously, as a part-time Lakers fan, doesn't make me happy because we haven't got anybody this free agency. But it's a good deal for Clay, I think. It's a good deal for the Mavericks. And Clay just needed a fresh start, and I think he can find a great one here in Dallas. Goga Bitadze signed a 3 year, $25 million contract. I like this fine. Wendell Carter Jr., Goga, Mo Wagner, front court's crowd a little bit, but they can all get the job done. I'm cool with this. Gary Harris signed a 2 year, $14 million deal with the Magic. Last year, he was the starting shooting guard going into playoffs for them. This year, it'll be KCP, most likely. So, him being a bench guy, the money makes sense. I think he honestly deserved a little bit more than this. I could have seen him maybe make $10+ million a year. I like this for the Magic. A great 3-and-D guy, who was pretty good last season. Clippers got Mo Bamba to be that backup big man behind Ivica Zubac. They didn't really have one last year. I mean, it was Miles Plumlee sometimes, but I wasn't too consistent. And also, Plumlee obviously left to the Suns, so they need to get a new guy. Mo Bamba will be interesting, though. I don't know if he's going to be a great backup center for them. He hasn't really been one his whole career, but hopefully it works out for him. Donovan Mitchell signed a 3 year maximum extension with the Cavs. Okay, I thought he was going to get traded, but it looks like they're going to be running this team back, which is crazy with Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell. Obviously you have Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. I think it's just crazy that you're running that team back with four of those guys, starting with that backcourt. Both need the ball in their hands to be a good basketball player, and that just hasn't worked out for the last 2 years for them. And then in the front court you have obviously Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Mobley's definitely more of a center, so having him as a power forward, someone who's not consistent from the 3 point line, not good as well. So I do expect them to maybe move someone before they go into the playoffs next year, because I don't really think that this team can go into the playoffs and expect a different result. James Wiseman, 2 year deal with the Indiana Pacers, really just a Jalen Smith replacement. I like this. Kemba Walker retires, not free agency, but definitely big. He's also joining the Charlotte Hornets coaching staff as like a player development guy. So I think that's pretty cool. I like this a lot for him as a career path after the NBA. Just tough because his knee, obviously, I don't know if it was both knees or one knee, but he would have been in the NBA a lot longer. Been a great scorer. Maybe even been a Hall of Famer if it wasn't for his knees. But injuries suck. Obviously, Kemba Walker, UConn legend, so all the respect there. Mo Wagner, 2 year, $22 million with the Magic. Cool with this as well. Averaged 11 points and 4 rebounds. Had a really good season last year. Honestly, thought like other guys he could have got a lot more money, but staying in Orlando with his brother and on a team that's trying to win a playoff series next year. John Isaac signs a 5 year, $84 million contract extension. Honestly, hot take here. I think we could see Jonathan Isaac if he gets good minutes, maybe some starter minutes. We'll see what happens at that center position, and if he stays healthy the whole season. Maybe we can see a Jonathan Isaac defensive team year, or maybe even a defensive player of the year. I'm not sure. Obviously, my season predictions come before the season, so that's going to be in what? Late September, early August. So we're not too worried about that right now, but I do think Jonathan Isaac deserves that contract. Kyle Anderson, 3 years, $27 million. A lot of those guys are getting 3 for 27, so that's interesting. To the Warriors, does he fit what the Warriors need? I'm not sure. I mean, I don't really understand the signing. I would definitely rather target some other guys here, but it's a fine contract for Kyle Anderson. I'm not sure if I would have given him 3 years, but down the line, we'll see. LeBron signed a 2 year, I don't think it was a maximum extension because he kept them under the second apron, but goes back to the Lakers. We all expected this. They have JJ Redick. They have um Bronny James. So obviously he's not going to leave. This was 100% expected. Fortunately, though, I thought it was going to be 3 years. Hopefully LeBron does not retire in 2 years. Ingles joins Minnesota. I like this a lot. A great playmaker, a solid shooter, and he's going to get playing time for that team right away. Alec Burks goes to another winning environment in Miami. Think this is fine. I'm not exactly sure what the money was for. I'm not sure if it says it somewhere up here. Not really finding it. But if it was a minimum deal, great deal for the Heat. Or yeah, for the Heat. I don't expect it to be a minimum deal. But yeah, the Knicks couldn't pay him, so it makes sense. He had a good playoffs, and he could definitely use a guy like him, especially after losing to Long Wright. Franz Wagner signed a 5 year, $224 million maximum, or maybe even $269 million maximum. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely crazy. I don't think he deserved this at all. He had a very down year last year, just looking at his stats. He averaged around 20 points per game, 5 rebounds, but only 28 from three. Doesn't get me too excited. Obviously, that was a down year from last year where he shot 36 from three. So we'll see what happens. His points per game went up, but the efficiency did not. So I don't think he deserves the contract. I think that this could be looked down the line as one of the worser contracts in the league. I just don't know if his ceiling is the All-Star level where apparently the Magic think it is. And overall, I don't think he could be a second option on a championship team. And I didn't know that Basketball Reference had a 2025 projection. I guess this is what they think he's gonna put up next year. 32 from three. I mean, I guess that's cool. Don't really understand it though. And if anyone was wondering, this was Franz Wagner's Game 7 statistics for the Orlando Magic this year. Also, I think he was shooting, what, 1 for 15, 2 for 15, something like that. 6 points in a Game 7, and you think this guy's going to be your second option on a championship team? I highly doubt that. The Sixers keep loading up, get Caleb Martin. This is a absolute steal. The contract is worth, not exactly sure where I can see it, but it's not a minimum deal. They gave him a solid amount of money. I like this a lot for the 76ers. Keep on building on that team. Hopefully you can win a championship because if you don't, it's not going to look too good. Devontae Graham traded to the Hornets, then he was waived. Not too much to say about that one. Miles Bridges, 3 years, 75 million for the Hornets. Now the Hornets did have a hole at the power forward position. They drafted Tijon Salon, they had Grant Williams, so they needed to sign somebody. I didn't think it was going to be Miles Bridges personally. I thought they were going to let go of him, but they kept him. Does he deserve a job in the NBA after what he did? That's definitely up for question. But he's a solid player. He'll average about 20 points for them. Solid efficiency as well. I just think it's time to move on. Time to retool this roster and start building around Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball. Stop prioritizing Miles Bridges. Next up is the Pistons absolutely getting a steal in Fontecchio. 2 years, $16 million for a guy who honestly surprised everyone last year and had a very solid season. No one really saw this one coming. Simone Fontecchio got a lot of opportunities on this Pistons team, considering they were not good. 10 points per game, can round up to 11. 4 rebounds, 2 assists on 46 from the field, 40 from three, 82 from the line. He was really good last season. Also was solid on the defensive side of the ball. Came over from the Utah Jazz, and I think $8 million annually $2 deal. Sarge go to the Warriors. I mean, or not to the Warriors, excuse me, to the Nuggets. I think he fits them pretty well. Just has a stretch big. They can use him. He can pass the ball as well. Can be a backup big, sure. I mean, we'll see what happens with Deron Holmes if he's NBA ready. But if not, Daryl Sarge can be a great backup guy to Nikola Jokic. And then we have this one. DeMar DeRozan to the Sacramento Kings. The Lakers strike out once again. Can't say too much about this. Apparently, the only thing you had to give up for DeMar DeRozan. I mean, if I can find the exact trade, Bulls received for DeMar DeRozan. And by the way, I think the Spurs did get a first round pick. Spurs got Harrison Barnes. But if the Lakers really weren't able to give up the value of Chris Duarte and 2 second round picks, then there's definitely some questions to be had with the Lakers front office. Overall, great trade for the Kings. Puts them in a contending spot. Now, some things that apparently I didn't go over. I'm not sure whether or not it was shown on the Warriors. For that team, but down the line or down in the late game scenarios, Buddy Hield will be there. Them last regular season. The Suns getting a pass first point guard of Monte Morris is extremely good. Yeah, this was a very surprising signing. I didn't know Monte Morris was going to take that little amount of money where the Suns were able to afford him. But as a backup guard who's able to share the rock, not stop the ball flowing, I like this a lot for the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant now have an actual point guard to lead this team. Obviously, you still have KD and Book being the leaders of this team, but kind of just controlling this offense. Tatum signed the biggest contract in NBA history. We expected this to happen. Did he deserve it? I'm not sure, but it was going to happen. The Warriors also get D'Anthony Melton as a backup guard. Again, like this a lot. I honestly think that this Warriors team won't be as good, or it won't be as good as obviously their championship teams, but I think they'll be a lot better than what they were last year, getting a lot more role players after just losing Klay Thompson. Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins signed long-term extensions with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Great deals for them. They deserve it. Um, while they don't see too much playing time because of how stacked this Thunder team is, these guys would be elite role players and are elite role players. But if they were on a team with not as much talent, they'd flourish so much more. Derrick Jones Jr. to the Clippers. I like this a lot. I mean, again, kind of like the Golden State Warriors. They lost one of their best players in Klay Thompson, or for the Clippers, it was Paul George. They're just rebuilding, they're retooling with a lot more solid role players. Derrick Jones Jr. fits the solid role player role, and at 3 years, $30 million, I think this is a great contract for the Los Angeles Clippers. The Pistons gave Cade the 5 year, 226 max extension. We expected this as well. I mean, who are the Pistons going to pay? Cade was the perfect guy. I guess we'll see what happens down the line. KCP goes to the Magic on a 3 year deal worth $66 million. He deserved the money. He's going to be a great 3-and-D guy next to, obviously, Jalen Suggs and Franz Wagner. He's basically Gary Harris, but like 2 times better. So the Magic got a great player in Kentavious Caldwell Pope. I like this deal a lot for them. And the Magic can maybe win a playoff series next year. Who knows? We'll see. Kevin Porter Jr. leaves, where was he? Greece, and goes to the Los Angeles Clippers for a 2 year deal. Now, like Miles Bridges, does he deserve to be in the NBA after what he did? I'm not so sure. But playing wise, he definitely does. Obviously, he has the talent. And the Clippers are just getting this free talent because no one else was going to pay him. So the Clippers, without Paul George, they need someone else on their team. Whether or not it's controversial, they need some ball players. And KPJ can do just that.